The following is a true terrifying personal violation story, also known as rape. This video isn't too graphic, but I did want to do a little different intro, as I'm sure you noticed by now, and just let you know that this might not be suitable for all audiences. If you would like to hear more stories on this topic, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Let's begin. During the summer of 1977, I was living in a co-ed residential facility for adolescents with emotional or behavioral problems, most of whom could not live with their families for one reason or another. Many of these kids were personality disordered themselves, having suffered at the hands of abusive, psychopathic, or narcissistic parents. Many of them had grown up in poverty. My mother and I could no longer live with each other, and my psychiatric problems were severe enough to qualify me a spot in the residence. The residential facility was in New York City, in the East 80s. During the 1970s and 1980s, until Rudy Giuliani became the mayor and started his campaign to clean up the city in the early 90s, New York City was a cesspool of filth and crime. The city was losing money fast, and funds that would normally go towards improving the infrastructure or finishing building projects just weren't available. New York was riddled with unfinished buildings that sat in their half-completed state, sometimes for years, attracting squatters and the homeless, and serving as hangouts and crash pads for heroin and other hardcore drug addicts. As you might expect, these unfurnished buildings were hotbeds for violent crime. No woman, or man for that matter, who valued their body, her possessions, or her life would be caught dead walking anywhere alone at night. The subways were filthy, covered with graffiti and trash, and extremely dangerous, even during the day. I always carried a can of pepper spray with me, just in case. Everyone I knew did too. The residence I was staying in, which no longer exists, was housed in a brutalist building on East 87th Street. Located next to it was one of these abandoned, underfunded buildings, its steel and plywood scaffolding still up, and you'd have to walk under a makeshift plywood tunnel to pass it on the street. The scaffolding was about 4 feet away from my bedroom window. I had a private room, and about 2 feet beneath it. My room was on the 3rd floor and had casement windows, the type that open out rather than slide up and down, and you have to crank it open. It's my understanding that casement windows are much easier to break into than the more popular sash type windows. And during the summer months, I'd leave the window closed. There was no air conditioning, though unlocked. I had a lot of potted plants on my windowsill, but no curtains or any other type of window covering. I hated the Venetian blinds and kept them up all the time. Anyone could have seen in. I never really gave this any thought. To the best of my knowledge, no one could see me in there. My room was in the back of the building, and we faced no other occupied buildings. I had dark blue plastic sheeting taped to cover the built-in fluorescent light over the small Formica desk in the corner. I could never sleep in complete darkness. To this day I can't. And the blue light was soothing to me as I listened to the radio while I fell asleep. It was dark, but I could still see. One hot summer night, I woke up suddenly. At first, I thought I must have been having a terrible nightmare. But I realized with dawning horror that this was no dream. It was actually happening. There was a man lying on top of me, and he had his rough fingers up inside of me. My face was pressed down into the pillow. I was on my stomach, and I couldn't move. I tensed my body and tried to fight him off, which was impossible given the position I was in. Realizing that I was awake, the man shoved his entire fist into my mouth. I have no idea how he was able to do that, but it sure felt like he did, and pushed my head down further into the pillow so I couldn't breathe. At the same time, he pulled his fingers out of me, and then he spoke, in a low, demonic voice. "Scream and I'll kill you." I didn't scream. Like a trapped animal, I froze in place while struggling to breathe. I felt dissociated from my body, as if I was watching this happen to someone else. I felt him shift on top of me and use his knee to roughly push my legs under my body, and then he raped me. Still pushing my head hard into the pillow, when he realized I would not make a sound, he finally removed his fist from my mouth. I began to feel dizzy from the lack of air. The pain I experienced during those moments was so intense, I felt like my head was exploding with knives of white-hot light. I knew he was going to kill me. Then something happened. I stopped panicking. I started to relax. I knew I was going to die on this night, at the age of 18. In my mind's eye, I saw the headline of my murder on the front page of the next day's edition of the New York Daily News. My entire sad life, memorialized by a small black and white newsprint photo, reduced to another tragic statistic that would be forgotten about within months. There would be a funeral and a lot of fake tears and hugs. Life would go on. My existence really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I felt my smallness, my powerlessness, in a world that was never very kind to me. I think this sort of relaxing happens when we know we are going to die in a violent or painful death. The dissociation is the mind's way of coping with unbearable pain and the unbearable knowledge of imminent mortality. My dissociated state probably saved my life. Suddenly, I don't know if he heard something or not, the man stopped raping me, got up, and ran out of the room. I turned around just in time to see the side of his face as he fled the room. In the blue light, I could see he was either white or Hispanic, and not very tall. He had dark hair and a short beard. That was all I could make out. I began to come back into myself and started to shake and sob uncontrollably. I ran to the house parents and told them what happened. They believed me and came upstairs to investigate. They inspected the empty room next door to mine and discovered an open window that was directly over the scaffolding below. Police determined that the man had probably seen me in my room, figured out the room next door to mine was unoccupied, and used the scaffolding as a means to climb into the building. The window may have been left open, or he could easily have opened it himself. What really made my blood run cold was discovering a large butcher knife under my bed the next day. The man must have dropped it as he fled my room. I knew with the certainty the sun would rise tomorrow that he had been intending to maim or kill me with it. The rape investigation required me to be checked by a medical doctor. No semen was found inside of my body, and I was unable to identify enough information about the intruder to be able to pick him out of a book of mugshots that the police showed me. There seemed to be hundreds of violent criminals who fit the description I gave. For 2 years, I could not sleep without my door being barricaded at night. Things got especially bad after I got my first apartment. I had trouble sleeping, frequent nightmares, and slept fitfully at best. I was always tired. I was afraid to go out, and afraid to be alone. I was terrified to be alone at night, and had to sleep with every light in the apartment on. Gradually, I overcame these fears, but the rape has always haunted me, and I still can't sleep in complete darkness. I still get chilled to the bone when I think about how close I came to death that night in 1977. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. So this story is a little different than the stories I normally cover. I was a little leery about doing this, but I figured I might as well test the waters because it is a terrifying story, and this happens every day, whether this took place in the 80s or not. Unfortunately, this guy could still be out there. Granted, he might be a senior citizen by now, but that still means he got away with most of his life after committing a crime this horrible. All I know is this girl was very fortunate that whatever this man heard was enough to get him to leave and drop his knife on the way out. Had it not been for whatever sound he heard, this young lady, who might not be so young right now, might not still be with us today. So I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this topic. Did you want to hear another story like this or not? Because I do have another one that's about a young lady who went to a psychiatrist and was raped by her psychiatrist. But like I said, these stories can be really come or go, so I don't want to just put it out there and really offend a lot of people. So let's take baby steps and test these waters and see where we can go and where we can't. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this topic. I know I've had some stories that kind of push the boundaries a little more than this one, but in the same sense, this could bring up some old memories for some people, or even a lot of people, because it happens a lot more than you would think. To guys as well. More or less when they're younger though. So I'm really excited to hear what you guys thought about it. And I also wanted to let you know that I'm going to be taking tomorrow off from doing videos because things are about to get really crazy. Sunday is going to be my last day at the dental lab working, and then I'll be going full-time YouTube. So I'm going to try to pump out and get all my videos ready for a week so I can take some time off and write this story for October 7th out for you guys, because that's going to take a little while. Oh, and also make sure you keep an eye out on my Fear Your Maker channel. I do have a paranormal video that I will be getting out this weekend for you guys, because I know I promised that for you. Other than that, I might do a live stream, but I probably won't. I really want to get everything lined up, so the next few weeks are going to go really smooth. And I have some pretty big plans for Halloween in the works, so keep your fingers crossed that everything's going to work out. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you back on here Monday, and on Fear Your Maker sometime this weekend for another video. And until then, just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.